You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
I got Fantha.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file.
That doesn't sound too hard.
Boom! This is Making Tracks.
This is the way.
Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
I know these people. They are brutal. Does this look Jedi to you?
That's not how the Force works.
They'll never see it coming.
Count me in.
Lisa back.
So we're joined here on Fantha Tracks today by two very special guests, Carrie Coaplen and Jonathan Hawpe. They're here to talk about Halcyon Daze, their documentary all about the Galactic Starcruiser. It's going to be played at San Diego Comic-Con. Here on the show today to talk all about it. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us, and it's wonderful to be with a fellow Starcruiser.
Thank you.
Pleasure. I'm not going to preamble too much because I have a habit of doing that. Tell me about the documentary. What was the instigation for it? What inspired you to make this?
Well, short story is that I became obsessed with it and went 4 times, and I wanted to figure out why. Why did I get so obsessed? Why did so many of us become obsessed? And I'm a nonfiction writer, a creative nonfiction writer by trade, and that's how I figure things out. Research, breaking it down, analyzing, personal experiences that stick in my crawl, so to speak.
And what do you think it was then? And I don't want to give anything away from the documentary. I've not seen it. I've seen the trailer, I've not seen the documentary. But what was it you think that if you sort of whittled it down was the one thing that hooked you? Was it the immersiveness? Was it just the camaraderie? Was it because it's Star Wars? What was it?
Gosh, that's a good question. But the thing that comes to mind is that it was unlike anything I'd ever done in my adult life. You relate? You know what I mean?
Totally do. Yeah, completely do.
And so much fun and so many surprises and a positive, exciting, delightful energy, even though it was nonstop and I was sleep deprived by the end. And you know what I learned in the film, this is explained by a psychologist, is that there are a bunch of chemicals that get activated, but I think there's also a mystery factor. Why did you want to go back on a second time? Why did you agree to do that? I went 4 times, he went 2 times.
Yeah. I mean, the immersiveness and interactivity was to a really high degree, so that was super impressive. But I think more particularly to me, I was amazed that it kind of taught you to live action role play.
Yeah.
Even if you had never done that. And I was a person who had never done that. I think many people might even think that they didn't really want to do that. They're not looking to be LARPers. But it drew you in and created this thing around you where it just started happening, at least if you were at all kind of open to it. You know, like these characters start coming up and talking to you, and things happen.
Hi, this is Andy Seacombe, otherwise known as Watto, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
One of the things that caught me on the hop, because it takes a bit of time to get into the rhythm of being there once you've taken in the atrium and looked at the bridge and checked it all out, and that's just astounding as a technical feat. And then you start to interact with people, and that catches you out because there's all the gears happening behind the scenes that we don't see. But very quickly you kind of forget that and almost step out of yourself into the realms of a character or a role or whatever it was. Where was it for you guys where reality stopped and the fantasy, the beautiful fantasy of being on the Starcruiser really started?
Wow.
You're looking at me.
I know. I mean, I'm wondering if you have a clear answer, because I think that's one of the magical things is that, I don't know for you, but after you ride the shuttle up to the ship, I mean, that's where it starts, is like this simulated space shuttle up to a spaceship. And I had watched videos and prepared because it was for his 50th birthday, and I wanted to make sure he had a really great voyage. So I knew what it would look like, but I couldn't imagine how it would feel. So maybe like as soon as I was on that shuttle and hit the atrium, it began. And once I got settled in the room and got out doing things, it was like, oh, okay, I'm in this thing. I'm there. It didn't take long, would you say?
I would agree very much. I mean, this is Fantha Tracks, so I kind of know how the sausage is made. But also back in the day, you mentioned LARPing. I did a bit of that back in the day, but mostly for me, it was role play. It was West End Games role play and all that sort of era of gaming. So I was very open to getting into a character, but never to the degree where I was physically embodying the character. And I made as best of a fist as I could have, kind of put the costume together and just feeling like I was that guy. But yeah, it wasn't long. Once we'd got into the room and I'd looked at Martin, who'd done it before, and sort of said, holy, blah, 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 look at this. This is amazing. And then people start coming up to you. You're kind of catching people's eyes, and you've kind of got the lay of the land like you would on a cruise, like you would on a regular cruise. Know where are we eating tonight? Where are the lifts? You figured that out, and then things started to happen. So no, it wasn't long at all. And once you're in, you're really in, because then the roller coaster has started.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, we had spent so much time, I'm sure, like many of us who cruised, and like you perhaps, playing and costuming and coming up with backstories, that when I went on, I knew right away who I wanted to talk to and the item that I wanted to show the Saja to get on the Force path. And when I spoke with Saja Finruna on our first voyage, immediately Sadie, and I shared my story about my character, and she responded to it so earnestly. I was like, oh gosh, well, I need to talk to my travel companion in character. I mean, it was magical. And that was right around, it was either before or right after muster. So it was within, and I was there immediately, I was first or second in line. We weren't playing around. Yeah. So anyway, that was part of it, that interaction with an actor.
And Jonathan, what about yourself?
Yeah, for me, I mean, as you already said, the physical environment is so perfectly done and detailed, and more or less seamless, that immediately gets you 90%, or got me 90% of the way. But then the really special part clicked in, I think, when, Carrie, as I think she just said, had talked to one of the characters, the Saja characters. But there was this point where Lieutenant Croy, this antagonist, he strolls through like the bar or the atrium or something.
No, it was
whatever.
The bar. We were in the sublight lounge.
So this is not like an official. He's just sort of milling around, and we're like, oh, I think we kind of knew he was the antagonist, but he comes up to her and he already knows her name.
Yeah,
he already knew her character before we had ever talked to him at all. So they did it that well, and he then started referencing some of her backstory. So not only did he just know her name,
like mind blown,
they immediately were sharing that information, making sure that the actor characters could bring that out. And so it made it so real feeling to have him stroll up and just be like, well, this and this, you're like, wow.
We had a very similar experience. We were sitting in the lounge, actually at the sabacc table, and ordered a drink, and up he comes and starts talking to us, trying to recruit us, and we're just trying to be very cagey, because Martin was kind of going down the Jedi route and I was kind of going down the underworld route, and we were doing slightly different things. And as you say, he seemed so clued up, so in tune with what we were sort of about, that it really was quite alarming. And then within minutes, well, maybe not even minutes, within a minute, looked at the phone, looked at the pad, and there's the details. And I wish that still worked. And there's the details of what Mark be engineering in an hour, Martin be, somewhere else in 90 minutes. And it just, the way that it moved was phenomenal. Given that there is this amazing articulation behind the process, behind the game of being the character and doing the story. And it takes you to a certain point where you become an observer at the end, of course. That's part of the beauty of it. But what impressed you the most? What part of that made you go, how are they doing this? Because I still can't quite figure out. I know some of the people who were involved, and I still can't quite figure out how they did some of it.
I think upon reflection, after making the film and interviewing passengers and experts and crew members, what has impressed me the most after the fact is how positive the community is and what the experience did that's built in the design to make that happen, that positivity and the continuation of art and events that carry on the Starcruiser feeling. So that's my after the fact. But I think in the moment during the cruise and more immediately after were moments like the one that we had with Lieutenant Croy where I got goosebumps because he says something so specific to me that responded to my improv, and he was improving that it felt like, oh, this is real and they're taking it very real.
Yeah. We had a moment with Croy. We had a moment with Croy where we met in the corridor and he came along because he kind of bumped, obviously he's planned, but he kind of bumps into us, having a bunch of us having a meeting. And he suddenly, almost out of nowhere, starts singing The Poverty of Love, which was brilliant. And he was a good singer as well. So that was just one of those little moments. I so wish we could record this because it's a moment that's gone forever. But I just thought the little moments like that just made when we get to the meal and Gaia singing and the whole confrontation with Gaia after the meal was so sort of sit back in your seat. Oh, that was full on. Just the counterbalance between all these moments was, I thought, just brilliant.
Yeah, and as you know, Lieutenant Croy was just absolutely gaga over her.
Yeah.
Gaia. God, I lost her name. So that goes with the character's feelings for Gaia. These little details, it's just insane. There were so many impressive things.
Yeah, for me, it's that the whole thing, its whole design and all the technology they have to use, and for the ship itself, then it really is all amazing, but then it rests in the hands of the actors who do that, like an incredible thing of making the main stories happen, because they have to happen in large parts. The large pieces have to happen, but then they have to just integrate that all the time with every weird or not weird thing that passengers are throwing at them, because one passenger is going to be in a full Star Wars alien costume and have like a story about their planet and they're just deep in it. But another one is going to have like a Mickey Mouse t-shirt on and they're going to be like, I'm Joe from Kansas. But we would see them integrate Joe from Kansas, in the Mickey Mouse t-shirt. They'd be like, I've never been to that planet Kansas. It's just, they were just so good at bringing it all in together.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
When you put the documentary together and you realise, you knew already, I'm sure this was an inspiration for doing the documentary, but you knew that this Starcruiser community had built. It's very prevalent on Facebook. There's lots of groups. There's people who never did it and will never get it because it doesn't exist anymore, and they'll only ever hear the legend of doing the Halcyon and being on the Starcruiser and the interactivity with going to Galaxy's Edge and all the other things that it holds and does. And then there's those lucky ones, including us, who did get to do it and can talk about it and have a common frame of reference and know how good the breakfast was and know how cool all the other little elements were. Did it surprise you how passionate that community remains now, nearly 3 years since it closed?
it's incredible what they're doing. Like, I don't think I expected people from the get-go. From the get-go, when it started, that's kind of what surprised me. Is like, wow, people want to keep getting together and doing things. But once it got started, it was like, oh, people really want to keep this feeling going and our found family together. I mean, really powerful and positive. And I'm going to circle back and speak to that in an indirect way. Something that came out during our interview with Michael Terragarver, one of the Starcruiser designers, well, the main Starcruiser designer, is that these kinds of experiences often do that at their best. Create positive communities through the way that they're designed, reinforcing the idea that art like this can create positive cultural change through communities, including creating events and art where people come together with these really powerful shared experiences. So it's not surprising now, but at first it was. And I'm so touched and honored and changed by it. Like, we will go on a cruise next February with Starcruisers on a Disney cruise.
Wow.
Just to be with that group of a few of those people. And these things are happening, like Chef Andrew and Wendy Vogel's Galactic Dinner, and like Halcyon, the group that has, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And there's a gala that happens. There's Twin Suns that happened where people got together and did an immersive experience. I feel like there's probably others. So anyway, I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, it totally does. It does. It's because that community. I mean, Star Wars community is enormous anyway, and there's so many places you can be a Star Wars fan within the realms of Star Wars that actually don't really have much to do with each other. But the Halcyon, because it was a thing, because it was based around a starship, you can be a comic reader and kind of be involved in that world. You can listen to the Star Wars soundtracks and be involved because there was a Starcruiser soundtrack. But then if you've done the actual experience, that's obviously the ultimate way of experiencing the Halcyon, and the vehicle lives on and the legend of it lives on. What would you say, when you look back at the documentary now, was the one big thing that you learned, maybe about somebody, maybe about the experience, but just the process of putting it together? Is there something that made you sit back and go, well, I didn't know that?
For sure. So when we began interviewing, I began interviewing passengers, frankly. I did most of them. You were there with me, but so many people we talked with were emotional, including cast members.
Yeah.
About the way in which it changed their lives and it transformed them and healed them. So not just I found my people, I found family. I also got over the death of a child. I don't feel like I have cancer. I reunited with my daughter, who I was estranged from, and now we're closer. These things show up in the doc. Like, you'll see little snippets of these moments. So it's like there's lots of funny things where I'm acting like a complete goofball, and just funny moments on board, but also these really touching stories of how the experience did these really powerful, transformative things for passengers. You want to add anything to that, John?
No, I think it is the level of emotion. And I think it was it Maggie Duckworth? I think it was our first big interview with just a big Starcruiser fan passenger. And she happened to be passing through our town. So we got to actually just do it in our house. And so maybe there's something extra about being really face-to-face.
Yeah.
But, she was getting emotional talking about it. And so this is I was on board, but I was like, is this a little crazy? Is this to do a documentary about this subject? I think Carrie was seeing it before I was, because this is really her baby. But as soon as I was listening to Maggie get emotional about it, it clicked. I was like, oh, this is like what it is. It activated something, real emotion being brought out of you really sticks with you.
Yeah.
When you that movie that makes you actually really like cry at the end. But this was like a whole nother level, where like weeks later, people are off the ship and they're still like feeling it, really feeling it. And so for that group of people that really, and as well as the actors, like Carrie already said, it is that level of emotion. I realized, there are going to be a lot of these people that felt it like that, and that's kind of rare for a piece of entertainment to make you feel that deeply.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really interesting observation that people take it with them even after they've left. I know for me, I felt like, when you're a kid and you go on holiday, you have a great time, you meet great people, you're 10 or 11, you might buddy up with somebody and you're never going to see him again because you live on the other side of the country, but it lives with you for a little while. And this kind of lived with me and Martin for, it still does, we talk about it all the time, but it's one of those things where I'm getting my Halcyon tattoo next month. I'm involved in putting on a convention, exactly, and I don't know where to have it yet, but I'm definitely getting it done, and we're going to get our tattoos. And so I wouldn't do that for anything, but I'm proud to say that I journeyed on the Halcyon. I did my voyage, I had my experience, I had my adventure, and it is something that you can take forward. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing the documentary. When you now start rolling it out, what are your hopes for it? It's being shown at San Diego Comic-Con, which is fantastic. I'll get more details from you on that in a moment. But where do you want this to go ultimately? What is the hope for it?
I mean, ideally, I want more people to see this story because I feel like I need more positive stories about how people can come together and support one another and have a lot of fun and be creative and let go. Like, be playful as adults too. Like, that's not a cultural norm here.
Yeah.
And in a way that I think is wholesome comes to mind. Not that I'm a prude or anything, but like, it was a really beautiful, wholesome, positive, transformative thing. And I want people to see that story. So I'd love to find a distribution partner who can get it out for people to see it. That's the goal. Streaming or big screens. If not, we'll do a video on demand option, but we want it to be out there. That's the goal.
Fantha Tracks. Hoodoo!
A little bit more about San Diego. That's a big deal. I mean, that's the big show of the year. So how did that all come about?
I mean, we submitted and it's a good fit.
Yeah, no kidding.
We've submitted to maybe 80-ish film festivals, and this is the largest audience so far. And you mentioned in your article the others that we've been in, the ones that are coming up. So, yeah. Thursday on the 23rd of July. Anyway, it's coming up. So,
are you guys ready? Are you all packed and ready to go? Are you still planning?
We're in San Diego.
We're in San Diego already. Now, one of our biggest exec producer person is out here, and his name is Denny Barrett.
Of Kindred Spirit Productions.
Kindred Spirit Productions. He was a massive help with getting this film made. And he also has a lot of stuff going on in California. So he's hosting us out here, and we're doing some fun things. Like, he has a hot air balloon company, and we get to ride on a hot air balloon. Right? So anyway, we did a mini vacay before Comic-Con.
Yeah.
That's very sensible. Just have the chill out time before the madness, because I can imagine that if there's any Halcyon fans in the area, they're going to gravitate towards you guys. So I can see you being very, very busy.
Yeah, and unofficially, if this reaches anyone who's going to be in the area, you can just come to the screening. They don't police the badging, so you can just show up.
Excellent. The more people know, the better. Any other information you might have, send it our way. We'll definitely post it on Fantha Tracks. The Halcyon and the whole endeavour is something I'm quite passionate about. So the more people know about this, the better. But thank you so much for coming on and giving your time. I know that you must have loads to plan and loads to do. So it's very greatly appreciated.
Our absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Email radio@fanthatracks.com. Head to links.fanthatracks.com for links to our social media feeds, Fantha Tracks TV and Fantha Tracks Radio. Thanks to James Semple for the Fantha Tracks intro, Blues Harvest for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 o'clock UK time. Our weekly news show, Good Morning Tatooine, goes live Sundays at 9 o'clock UK time on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, Fantha Tracks is absolutely free, so it costs nothing to stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's Making Tracks.